In every era of the NBA, we have various archetypes at each position that teams covet. Each one will have various skills that pertain to their specific era, like how in the current day, shooting and positional size are notable ones that teams look for. The one fun thing about sports is how some players have skill sets that translate to various eras, and in some cases, could be even better fits for those that follow them. Now that we're deep in the offseason, this is something I thought would be fun to highlight. We always talk about how deep the talent pool in today's NBA is, but what about those who came before them, and would their games or skill sets have fit well in the present day? This will be the third part of a series where I'm going to highlight some of the players whose games would translate. This will allow us to celebrate the game, provide some nostalgia, and let younger fans get some insight into players they might not be familiar with. Coming off an NBA regular season where just over 42% of all shot attempts were three-pointers, having a player who can make threes out of various actions is extremely valuable. That's why Reggie Miller fits the criteria. A 6'7 shooting guard, Miller could score in a variety of ways, but was remarkably efficient. In his first full year as a starter for the Pacers in 1989, Miller averaged 16 points a night with a true shooting percentage just over 60%. From that point on, he had a 15-year stretch where he finished top 10 in the league in that stat. Miller in his 1994 season also became the third player to enter the 50-40-90 club, which is when a player for the season shoots at least 50% from the floor, 40% from three, and 90% from the free throw line. Reggie also had fantastic longevity. From ages 24 through 34, he averaged just under 21 points per game to go along with impressive shooting splits, and was named an All-Star 5 times while making 3 All-NBA teams. The other impressive thing with Miller is that his scoring became more prolific in the playoffs, and despite the added intensity, remained incredibly efficient. Across 100 career playoff games in those ages 24 through 34 seasons, Miller averaged 23 points per game, was well above league average in stats like true shooting and effective field goal percentage, and became known for his ability to hit clutch shots. Though here is where Reggie becomes extremely deadly in the modern day: his three-point shooting. Miller could convert threes out of various actions, but his movement without the ball was truly ahead of his time. In an interview in 2023, Stephen Curry cited Reggie Miller as one of the two players he emulated growing up, along with Steve Nash. When explaining why Miller, he said, "Because he was a master at creating space without the ball, find a way to get separation, to go out and get a pass and quick release. That's evident when watching Curry play, but given the era Reggie played, he didn't have the same green light from deep. For his career, he only had one season where he attempted more than 6 threes a game, and surprisingly, only 1 year where he made 200 or more threes. To show you the difference in eras, Miller in the 1997 season made 229 threes, which at the time was the fourth most in NBA history for a single season. In this past regular season, 12 players made more threes. Reggie had an incredible career, as he's considered one of the greatest shooters ever, was named to the NBA's 75th anniversary team, won a gold medal in the 1996 Olympics, and retired as the greatest player in Pacers history. Though it's hard not to think of what he would be like if he played in today's game. Miller retired in 2005 as the NBA's all-time leader in made threes, but 20 years later, he currently ranks 6th as the shot has become more prevalent. If he played today, Miller's likely taking 10 to 12 threes a game, like we see from players such as Curry, and would be even more dangerous with added spacing surrounding him, though his influence on the game will remain for the foreseeable future, given his mix of shooting and ability to move without the ball. In today's NBA, if you have a star point guard, chances are they're going to primarily be scoring and facilitating out of pick and roll, with the ability to score in a variety of ways out of the action. This is one area where Mark Price was ahead of his time. If you watch today's game, you'll see a lot of instances out of the action where a ball handler can split the double team, though Price is one of the first to do this. Steve Kerr, who was Price's teammate for 4 years in Cleveland, once said in an interview, "Mark really revolutionized the way that people attack the screen and roll. To me, he was the first guy in the NBA who really split it. A lot of teams started blitzing the pick and roll and jumping two guys at it to take the ball out of the hands of the point guard. He'd duck right between them and shoot that little runner in the lane. Nobody was doing that at the time. You watch an NBA game now, and almost everyone does that. Mark was a pioneer in that regard. He gave people fits with that little split." The first pick of the second round by the Cavaliers in the 1986 draft, Mark gave defenses fits in a lot of different ways. After coming off the bench as a rookie, he became the starting point guard in his second season and didn't look back. In his ages 23 through 30 seasons, Price averaged just under 18 points a game to go along with nearly 8 assists with impressive efficiency. In that span, he also was named to 4 All-Star games and 4 All-NBA teams, which included making the first team in 1993, while Reggie Miller was the third member of the 50-40-90 club I mentioned earlier. Price was the second, as he joined it during his first All-Star season in 1989, though Mark's shooting was well ahead of his time, as he was a career 40% shooter from deep and could hit threes in a variety of ways, including off the dribble like we see often from point guards today. However, in his 8-year peak, Price only took more than 4 threes per game twice. For reference, just 28% of Price's shot attempts during that time were threes. Trae Young, who is an all-star today and is around the same size, has had at least 33% of his shot attempts come from three every year of his career. Unfortunately, Mark dealt with injuries during the last few years of his career and played his last NBA game at 34 years old. While he didn't make the Hall of Fame, Price was one of the better scoring guards and premier shooters of his era, and the way he played was a foreshadowing of what was to come in the modern NBA. The NBA is coming off its fourth straight season with at least 120 international players, though back in the late 80s and early 90s, foreign players weren't as common in the association. Drazen Petrovic came over and showed that success was possible, with a playing style that would translate to this era. Drazen was drafted by the Trailblazers in the third round of the 1986 draft, though he was already well known in Yugoslavia, now known as Croatia, where a year earlier he had scored 112 points in a single game, and he played 3 more years overseas before coming to the NBA. Petrovic contributed for the Trailblazers in his rookie year in 1990, as the franchise went on to make the NBA Finals, though entering the following season, the Blazers added another guard in Danny Ainge, and Drazen was now the fourth guard on the depth chart and seeing limited playing time. As a result, he requested a trade, saying that if nothing was done, he'd just go back overseas. Drazen got his wish in January of 1991 as he was dealt to the New Jersey Nets. In a 43-game stretch after the trade, Petrovic played around 20 minutes a night while averaging 12.6 points a game on above league average efficiency. Though in his next season with the Nets, Drazen was a full-time starter and responded by averaging 20.6 points a game while scoring in a variety of ways and shot over 44% from 3 on 3 attempts a night and also displayed some facilitating ability. He went on to take another leap in the 1993 season as Petrovic was third-team All-NBA, averaged 22 points a game, shot a ridiculous 52% given the shot volume, and shot just under 45% from 3. Unfortunately, Drazen played his last NBA game at 28 as he passed away that summer as a passenger in a serious car accident where an autopsy stated he died on impact. Drazen's NBA career is a massive what-if for basketball fans, as he only had 2 seasons as a featured option to show what he was truly capable of before his tragic passing, though his ability to score and facilitate in a variety of ways would have translated very well to today's game, and given what he displayed as a shooter from behind the arc, would certainly be attempting more threes in the modern game, though Petrovic's legacy lives on. He's in the Basketball Hall of Fame, will forever be an icon in his country, and after being the first player born in Yugoslavia or Croatia to enter the NBA, there have been 17 more that have since played in the league. While fans from all over the world were left wanting more, Drazen's impact to this day in his home country and to those who knew him is a reminder that some things are bigger than the game of basketball. That wraps up the third group of players I'll be looking at for this series. Collectively, this is another group that highlighted skills teams look for today. All the players mentioned had great shooting ability, and then individually had traits such as creating for others, moving without the ball, and many more. If you had any suggestions for players you'd think would be good fits for this series, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I'm looking forward to you joining when I take another trip down memory lane to see what players had skill sets that were ahead of their time. If you made it this far, thank you, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date with my latest in-depth NBA analysis.